Welcome to the Workamper Show, brought to you by Workamper.com. This podcast helps you discover how to finance your RV travel dreams. Each one of our episodes will introduce you to people who are already living the RV lifestyle or to work camping opportunities all around the U.S. You'll also learn how to hit the road the right way and make the most of every opportunity. Now let's turn over today's show to your host, Greg Gerber.
In today's episode, I'm visiting with the founder of the Cliff Valley Astronomy and Canada's only astrotourism consultant. Today's episode is brought to you by the featured employers at Workamper.com. These Workamper employers have taken the extra step to share some photos and detailed information about their Workamper programs with you, so check them out today. Opportunities exist for solos, couples, and families, whether they are full-time, part-time, seasonal, or even long-term jobs. Some are income opportunities, and others involve volunteering at locations throughout the United States. Go to www.workamper.com/FE to meet the featured employers today. If you are an employer seeking to hire Workampers, then you can learn how to benefit from year-round recruiting by becoming a featured employer. Visit workamper.com/FE details. Stéphane Picard is helping travelers rediscover something that many of us have lost in modern life, which is a true connection to the night sky. If you've ever parked your RV far from city lights and looked up in amazement at the stars overhead, you're going to love this conversation. Stéphane explains why dark sky tourism is growing so quickly and how RVers are uniquely positioned to enjoy it. We also talk about how modern technology has made astronomy far more accessible than it used to be. You no longer need a massive observatory or a degree in astrophysics to experience the planets, galaxies, and nebula that once seemed out of reach. Finally, Stéphane shares why New Brunswick is becoming a dream destination for outdoor lovers, nature enthusiasts, and travelers looking for unforgettable nighttime experiences. To tell us more, please welcome Stéphane Picard from the Cliff Valley Astronomy to the show. Thanks for joining me today, Stéphane. I really appreciate it. I understand you are Canada's only astrotourism consultant. I've never met one of those, so this will be fun.
And good. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully I can bring a little bit of insight on what this mystical thing of what astrotourism is.
You are the founder of the Cliff Valley Astronomy, and I guess that is a mobile observatory. Tell us about that. That sounds fascinating.
Yeah, back in 2022, I had been kicking around the idea of starting a service where, as an avid amateur astronomer and astrophotographer, I get to see the night sky like most people don't. I was getting the bug really hard for astrophotography. So if astronomy is hard and expensive, astrophotography is in the league of its own. Quickly scaled up to 6 or 7 telescopes, a handful of different types of cameras, and my skill sets were outstripping my equipment. So the next jump was going to be probably a $25,000 investment to get to the really neat stuff. And I did okay professionally, but I got grandkids to spoil, and my fiance and I love to travel, so we didn't want to give anything up. So I said, why don't I make money at showing the night sky like I see it? Because not everybody's going to spend thousands of dollars on the telescope or learn the daunting, and it's not easy to be an astronomer. You got to be passionate about it, because there is huge amounts of information to learn, not just about the night sky, but also the equipment you use. So anyway, I started with that, and sure enough, that first summer, I didn't have a weekend to myself because it quickly took off.
That's neat. Why is dark sky travel so popular today?
It is becoming harder, and people have to travel further to access a star-filled night sky because of the rapid growth of light pollution from major urban centers. Right now, the latest stat is light pollution is doubling every 10 years. So that is quite a drastic, when you think about it, that is a drastic trend that sadly is not going to go in reverse anytime soon. So as society keeps evolving and we get more people on this planet, light pollution is becoming more and more prevalent.
Is this drawing a new type of traveler?
It absolutely is, because I talk to many tourism operators in the run of a day with all the various services that we provide. And they keep telling me they get people from major urban centers come visit where they're at, and usually a rural or coastal area where there's less light pollution. So obviously you see more stars, and people freak out that are not used to seeing that many stars, right? They have quite the reaction. And the key thing too is in the past 100 plus years, we lost our intimacy with the night sky because people don't see it as much anymore. We don't rely it like we used to a couple 100 years or more ago, where if you wanted to travel on land or at sea during the night, you used the stars. So you needed to know the sky. You used the sky for telling time. The sun was your hours. The moons were basically your months, with 13 full moons a year. The constellations announced the seasons. So you kind of needed to know it to, even as you keep going back in history, the further you go, the more your survival relied on.
That's a very good point. I was talking with some friends just last week that people lost their awe. And one of the reasons they had awe in the past is they could walk out in the sky and see this amazing expanse of stars and realize just how small they were in the overall scheme of the universe. And you don't get that anymore. You might see an occasional bright star planet here in Arizona and Phoenix area where we got lots of light pollution. But get out in your area of New Brunswick, I can imagine that the stars are plentiful.
Absolutely. And also, I keep saying recently is space is sexy again. There was less interest once the space shuttle program had been stopped and all that. But now with the James Webb showing us the universe like we've never seen it before, we're going back to the moon with the Artemis missions after 50 some years. Astrophotographers like myself who share what we capture of the night sky. Since the pandemic, I think there's been a renewed interest because a lot of families, because you were bubbled in during the pandemic, had to figure out what to do with their kids. The kids couldn't play sports. The parents couldn't go traveling. And a lot of them started picking up stargazing as something to do as a family unit. And I think that if there's anything good that ever came out of the pandemic, which is a horrible thing, renewed interest in stargazing and how a family unit picked that up as potentially an interest or a hobby is definitely a major thing, but also caused the price of telescopes to quite a bit.
Supply and demand, I'm sure. When I was a teenager, I was in the Boy Scouts, and we had to learn to read a sky map. Is that something that you would encourage all kids to learn?
Absolutely. Even with the astronomy clubs that we're associated with and all that, we still give them out to at star parties when we host public outreach events. We hand them out. It's actually a promotional tool because they get branded with, let's say, the Royal Astronomical Society of Canada logo on them and all that. And it helps people understand that the sky changes throughout the year because we're traveling around the sun. So our vantage point keeps changing. That's why there's different constellations during every season.
Here in Arizona, we have a lot of observatories. We have the Kitt Peak Observatory and the Lowell Observatory up in Flagstaff, where Pluto was discovered. Advantage. Would you recommend that people visit observatories if they have the opportunity?
If they get the opportunity, it would be, but don't discount attending your local astronomy clubs, stargazing events, or if you have something in your regional, maybe not the scope of what you have in Arizona or even Hawaii or Chile, for example, with 100-foot diameter telescope. Most astronomers that are serious about the hobby put a lot of investment. And my biggest telescope that I use for the events we get booked, I can have enough magnification to show the cloud bands on Jupiter and on Saturn, to the point that on the rings, you can start seeing the different lines in the rings of Saturn. So when you can show that to people, that it's not in the textbook, it's not on the computer screen, there is a sensation because they're seeing it with their own eyes. And then that usually causes some pretty surprising reactions to the telescope.
40 years ago, I was in the Air Force and stationed at Holloman Air Force Base in New Mexico, which is right down the street from White Sands National Monument. And on full moon and no moon nights, they hosted special events. And the no moon nights, they had local astronomers coming out of the woodwork with their astronomy equipment and things like that. And they were setting it up at the park. And it was a real treat because as soon as the sun went down and the stars came up, we could walk up, and these amateur astronomers were more than willing to share their experiences with us and allow us to look through their telescopes at various formations in the sky. I thought that was fascinating. So local astronomy groups are probably doing this on no moon nights everywhere around the globe, huh?
Absolutely. It's because it's the best time to stargaze or do astrophotography, because the moon at full moon or near full moon phase is quite bright and can overpower some of the fainter objects in the sky, like nebulas and galaxies and all that. But the beauty of an astronomy club, if you get the chance to attend one of their outreaches, you have numerous different styles of telescopes, and they're all pointing at a different object. So within a very short time span, you can see a handful of interesting objects that you wouldn't ordinarily see.
Is there a distance that people really need to get away from a big city in order to really enjoy the night sky?
No, not necessarily. There are bright objects. The moon, even, I'll get into this, but the moon is very interesting night after night because as it has a 29-day phase. So as the terminator line moves across the surface of the moon, you're basically looking at night after night a different moon, especially in the first quarter phase where you see that terminator cause some really dramatic shadow effects on craters and mountain ranges and all that, that even just with simple binoculars, you would get some pretty spectacular views. And also, as long as you're in a suburban region that you can see at least 2 or 3 dozen stars, you'll be able to see some stuff because there's tons of stuff throughout the night sky and different objects throughout the year.
I know here in Phoenix, we have some phenomenal moonrises here in the desert where this giant globe just comes out of nowhere, and it is fascinating to watch. So you're saying that anybody could probably be able to enjoy that?
Well, you can get away. There is a Bortle scale, which gives you the visual quality of the night sky. So the lower the number on the Bortle scale, the darker it is. Think of downtown New York is a Bortle night. So you're lucky if you can see anything beyond the sun, the moon, and maybe Venus, right? But as you get to a Bortle 5 or 4, you can do some decent stargazing. Some of the organizations that certify certain areas for dark skies even incorporate now a urban star park system, where if you have a decent region of your municipality or your city that you can do a little bit of stargazing. One of the key things is getting the designation for people to know they can go there so they don't have to travel far, and also create some awareness and visibility to why they should try to control the light pollution in that in that area of the city or the urban center. So, but as you keep going further into nature, the viewing gets better. That's for sure.
What makes a dark sky a true dark sky? I'm assuming all absence of light pollution. And are there still dark sky areas in America?
Oh, absolutely. That's the beauty of it. Canada and the US are huge countries area-wise, right? Especially in Canada, 90% of our population is within 100 miles of the US border. And we're the second largest country in the world, but we're like 40-some in population. So that's a lot of land that's untouched. So in New Brunswick, even for a small province like ours, we're 85% forested. So even from our big cities, and I say air quotes big cities, because they're very small compared to some of the other cities across North America, we're no more than 15 minutes away from a decent night sky. So it's not only is it an abundance in New Brunswick, it's very easily accessible.
Very good. Are there some daytime experiences that can complement a nighttime tourism escape that people want to go on?
Absolutely. If you're out in nature, whether it's to see kayaking or hiking or hunting, fishing, and all that, what do you do with people in rural regions or in campgrounds? Because there's no nightlife per se. So incorporating a night sky experience or a dark sky experience adds to the experience overall while you're in the region. There's, aside from the obvious celestial events that happen during the day, there's only a handful. You either have a total solar eclipse or you have a partial solar eclipse. But there's daytime moons too, right? But I find with all the operators and tourists that come here, they're coming for a number of reasons, but they've been coming for our nature for so long. We're now starting to say, you're also coming for our night sky. You'll discover it by accident, or now we're trying to be very deliberate in saying we're also a great place for dark sky, because as I explained earlier, it's becoming more and more difficult for people around the world to find star-filled night skies. 80% of Americans can't see the Milky Way from where they live. In Canada, it's now over 60%. So when you think of that light pollution is doubling every 10 years, that trend's going to continue to increase. It's going to become even harder, more sought. It will be it's becoming quickly in demand because people don't see it anymore in a lot of cases.
I would think that bodes well for the future of astrotourism, that people want to get out and see the sky and experience what our ancestors just took for granted, and really treat kids to this experience to see beyond what they can see outside their house at night.
Yeah. And one of the things I've been pushing a lot is it's great to see something you've never seen at a telescope. It doesn't always require a telescope, but if you take the simplest definition of astronomy, which is seeing celestial objects beyond the horizon, astrotourism brings what's within the horizon. So you're experiencing a celestial event or seeing celestial objects, but where you're at, who you're with, plays a huge role in the experience you're going to have. So the nature you're located in, the landmarks, the venues, the people, the history, the culture. Because when you're visiting different regions that you don't live in and all that, you're also getting a sample of the people that live there, the type of culture, and you learn more about that region. So that plays a huge factor. So astrotourism is one of those behaviors that helps you. It's not just about looking at something in the telescope. A lot of celestial objects at night don't need a telescope. I'm thinking auroras, northern lights, meteor showers. You don't need special equipment for that. There's always a reason to go out. And it's a great conduit into learning the region's people and culture.
If an RVer wanted to have a telescope to carry with them wherever they traveled, how much would a really good one cost?
There's a lot of technology that's come out in recent years. The traditional optical telescopes are now quite expensive since the pandemic. If you're going to be serious about it, you can spend $1,000 or $2,000 US on something that's automated, that you do an alignment process with finding 3 primary stars, and then the onboard computer takes over and it knows where everything's in the sky, and all you do is punch in codes to go where you want it to find stuff. And now there's also these little smart telescopes that are not even the size of a toaster, and they connect to your mobile device, whether a phone or a tablet, and they have algorithms in it, they have special filters, and they'll find the objects for you. They'll put the image right on your tablet, and you can take pictures of what you're looking at too. And the longer those little telescopes look at the object, because they have special filters that capture the light bands that our eyes aren't equipped to see, it reveals galaxies with the beautiful spiral arms or the very colorful nebulas that even with a very strong optical telescope, you wouldn't see, because our eyes are not equipped to see light spectrums in the infrared or other light spectrums that our eyes don't register. And the cost of those new devices, you're looking at most times under $1,000. And it does all that, right? It's a really interesting time that technology is bridging and shortening the process of becoming a proficient astronomer, because the devices are helping you find the stuff in the sky.
I remember telescopes used to cost tens of thousands of dollars. So I'm just astonished that the prices for even an automated system is $1,000 now. Where do people go to find these? On Amazon?
You can find them on Amazon, or there are astronomy dedicated retail online stores or physical stores. There's, like anything else in any sector, there's cheaper products where the quality is not as good, or you can go with an industry leader that has proven quality and is always innovating and making it more accessible and easier for people that aren't traditionally astronomers to be able and go out. And because before all this technology came along, out of 10 telescopes that were bought, 9 would probably end up in the closet because people got frustrated, it's too hard, and so forth. But now with all this new technology, we're seeing the adoption and the engagement increasing, where people are getting hooked. Like my daughter is not even an astronomer, and she knows a little bit because of me, but when she comes and visits with my granddaughter every summer, like when I had this first smart telescope 2 years ago, she watched me for about 10 minutes play with it on my iPad. Then she asked for the iPad, and I never saw the telescope for the rest of the night. She just took off with it, and she was sharing pictures immediately on Instagram and all that. And
I love it.
Yeah, it's amazing. They would be great products for campers.
I would imagine if somebody were to buy this for their own enjoyment, they could really be popular in a campground by just sharing the opportunity for people to see beyond what their eyes could see.
Holy.
Now, a lot of RV rallies take place throughout the year, and many people head up to New Brunswick to do that. So if you're having an RV rally, can they hire Cliff Valley Astronomy to come and bring all the equipment and really treat them to a night sky event?
Yeah, absolutely. We do get hired. I am fortunate to have some great astronomer friends that help me cover the entire province. So we've got a team of 6 people, and we can service anywhere in the province of New Brunswick, as remote spaces like Mount Carleton Provincial Park, which is one of the deeper provincial parks in northwest New Brunswick. That's not easily accessible for most people. We can get there. We can go. Right here I live near St. John, New Brunswick, which is one of the big cities. And I'm 15 minutes from downtown, and I have a portal 3 in my backyard. So we can do it anywhere, any campground, any public site, any cottage, whatever. So for campgrounds, the network I was telling you of astrolodging that we started up, I'd say here in New Brunswick, half our members can accommodate RV, public campgrounds, or provincial or national parks. And we get that, and that's where a lot of our activities, our bookings happen.
You're a lifelong resident of New Brunswick, and so besides the night sky, which would be gorgeous, what are some other things RVers can do up in New Brunswick that they would want to put on their bucket list to make that trip up north?
We have such a small, beautiful province that has so much to offer. We're called the picturesque province. We've got coasts on 3 sides of the province. We've got rich, lush valleys with powerful rivers like the St. John River and the Miramichi River that conduce to fishing, hiking, kayaking, and all these types of things. We've got the highest tides in the world in the Bay of Fundy, where there's a change of 45 to 50 feet between low and high tide. That's something that can be experienced. We've got the tallest peak in Atlantic Canada, in the Maritimes, which is New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, and Prince Edward Island. And we have amazing culture. We have English heritage, we've got French heritage, Indigenous, and all that. Very much rich in history and culture. And we've got the world's longest covered bridges and everything in between that you could ever do, especially in nature. Definitely. We have so much to offer, and we're getting better at telling that story. Believe me, you come to New Brunswick, you can spend the whole summer here, and I guarantee you won't check out everything that we could throw at you.
That's wonderful. Are you a bilingual province?
Yes, we are. We're the only bilingual province in all of Canada.
Okay. So in the bilingual, it is French and English.
Yes.
Okay. And people don't need to speak French to enjoy the province. Is that correct? Like,
No,
Montreal
absolutely.
really needs to have a good understanding of French in order to truly enjoy that, but not where you're
Yeah.
at.
No, because most French-speaking francophones in New Brunswick also are quite bilingual or can carry a conversation in English. It's just prevalent. It's in our media, it's in everything, it's in our education system. So it's something we're pretty proud of, is being bilingual. And if we get tourists from France, we can easily speak with them or any other of the 60-some French-speaking nations around the world that we can accommodate them like that. Or
How can people get more information if they'd like to learn more about Cliff Valley Astronomy or ask you a question about the night sky?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got our website for Cliff Valley Astronomy at cliffvalleyastronomy.com. We have a website for our astrolodging network, which is darkskydestinations.ca. We're both are on Facebook and Instagram.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing this with me today. I really appreciate it. I'd love to get up there and visit. It sounds like it'd be fun things to do during the day and even more spectacular things to do at night.
For sure. Let me know if you do come our way, and I'll be the first one to greet you.
I enjoyed Stéphane Picard's explanation about how astrotourism is opening people's eyes to the beauty of dark skies and helping travelers reconnect with nature in a whole new way. One thing I found especially interesting was how RVers are perfectly positioned to enjoy this growing trend. Whether you're camping in a remote forest, parked near a national park, or attending an RV rally, there are incredible opportunities to experience the stars away from city lights. I also appreciated Stéphane's reminder that astronomy does not have to be intimidating or expensive anymore. Modern smart telescopes and local astronomy groups are making stargazing easier and more interactive for families and travelers alike. And if New Brunswick was not on your bucket list, Stéphane surely gave us plenty of reasons to add it. Between the Bay of Fundy, rich culture, outdoor adventures, and spectacular night skies, it sounds like an incredible destination for Workampers and RVers. To learn more about Cliff Valley Astronomy, visit cliffvalleyastronomy.com. You can also learn more about dark sky travel opportunities New Brunswick at darkskydestinations.ca. Both organizations are also active on Facebook and Instagram. Today's episode is sponsored by Workamper News. Much more than just a job listing website, when you put the tools of this professional service into action, you'll find out just how easy it can be to turn your work camping dreams into reality. A Workamper membership opens the door to a one-stop shop for all things work camping. Being the original resource for work camping, to find the largest number of job listings, be able to connect with a community of work campers, and view resources compiled by experts who've been enjoying the RV lifestyle for many years. If you're serious about leading a successful and enjoyable work camping lifestyle, then membership is for you. Join today at workamper.com. Embark on new adventures today with the support of Workamper News behind you. That's all for this week's show. Next time I'll be interviewing an employer about some interesting work camping opportunities at a fish hatchery in Kentucky. Thank you for listening.